Blunder Below is a Popeye cartoon from 1942. This is directed by Dave Fleischer and Dave Tendlar. It's written by Bill Turner and Ted Pierce, and we have voices provided by Jack Mercer. I didn't mind this one, but it's never ever going to be my favourite Popeye cartoon. I feel like it was very slow, and once the action kicked in, I didn't find it to be that fun, but because we have a bit of a different setting for Popeye, it means it is a little different to a lot of the other Popeye cartoons. So I didn't mind it, but I didn't love it. This is set on a submarine, and Popeye is banished to the boiler room. However, there is a submarine coming to attack, and Popeye gets the chance to try and save the day. Whether or not he's successful, I'm not going to say, but hopefully this is his chance to shine and he can work, and he'll no longer have to stay in the boiler cupboard. But whether or not that works out, obviously I won't say. It's fine. As a narrative, it works well enough. There's nothing about it that doesn't work. The pacing is fine. It was a little slow to begin with, but as I said, even once the action kicked in, I didn't find it tremendously exciting. So the pacing was, I guess, pretty okay. The animation, not too bad at all. There are some times when I feel like the animation is maybe a little bit dull. And I say this as somebody who, I really like clean animation. And that's not to say I don't love animations where there's a lot going on and a lot of small details, but I'm usually more of a fan of a much more crisp, clean backdrop with only a few small details, so we can really focus on the foreground. But there are certain frames in this where they really take that to the extreme and there's just nothing to look at. But thankfully that is few and far between. And Popeye was a perfectly likeable character. What I'd expected with this was a much heavier propaganda cartoon. This being released in 1942, I thought it would have had a much stronger war feel to it. By which I mean, usually when you watch a war-themed cartoon from the 40s, you could tell without even knowing the date that it was a product of the Second World War. Whereas I wasn't really getting anything from this. I feel like this could be watched at any point. And if you're not that bothered about propaganda cartoons, then that might be okay. But personally, I find them really fascinating, so I'd expected something different. That didn't necessarily hinder my enjoyment, or at least it didn't hinder my overall perception of the cartoon, but I was expecting something a little bit different. It does lean into that slightly, and I'll say no more, but you'll know which bit I mean when you see it. But in general, it could be set realistically at any point. It's just a standard battle, if you like. Do I recommend it? Sure. If you're a Popeye fan, I'd say it's definitely worth watching. The narrative works well. The other characters we meet, absolutely fine. Popeye, of course, is very likable. The music's pretty great. Definitely good music. The animation is fine. It's definitely not my favourite Popeye animation, but at the same time, it's not too bad. So it may not be my favourite, but Blunder Below is one that's probably worth checking out if you are a Popeye fan.